just so horny all of a sudden. How's it going, friends? It's Alyse here, and today I have a story to share with you. So about a year ago, I shared a video here on this channel that I think was 10 or 12 things that you didn't know about me, and one of which was that I identified with the term gray-asexual. For those of you who are not familiar with this term, gray-asexual is similar to asexual, which is an individual who does not get sexually aroused or turned on, no matter what the circumstances. Gray-asexual is similar, but there are some exceptions. There are some circumstances and times that somebody who identifies as gray-asexual can be sexually aroused, most of which, or some of which, are when somebody is deeply emotionally connected with another person, and a variety of other little things that could cause somebody to experience arousal, which is normally a pretty rare thing. Like, there are conditions on how and when somebody who identifies with gray-asexual will feel turned on, if that makes sense. I shared that video and there was a lot of feedback. There were a lot of you who resonate and felt like I identify as this too. There were a lot of you wanting more information, especially this past year when I shifted my diet and realized that I no longer identify with gray-asexual. A lot of you are wondering, what's the deal? We want the full story. So I'm here with the full story. I do want to let you know that this is 110% my personal experience, and just to share the disclaimer that this is literally my story of me being confused as a young adult in my super early 20s, being confused about my sexuality and kind of just discovering what's up, what's going on, who am I, like what is going on inside of my body. So I just want you to know that this is a sensitive topic for me. It's something that I just recently discovered about myself. I'm just kind of working through it right now, so in no way, shape, or form am I attempting to be an expert in this realm or to say anything is right or wrong. I'm just sharing my story. It was probably about 3 or 4 years ago when I was actually living in my van in Hawaii with a friend, and we got on the topic of sexuality, and she was sharing that she identifies as demisexual, which is similar to gray-asexual. As soon as she started talking about gray-asexual, I was immediately felt understood for the first time ever. I was always kind of confused and felt like an alien and felt like I was the only person who didn't really have a sex drive. I felt like there were just such rare circumstances that I would feel like extreme sexual arousal. I just identified with it hardcore, and so ever since that point, I felt like that's what I was, that's who I was, and that there's certain conditions that I need to feel deeply emotionally connected and spiritually connected, energetically connected with somebody in order to be really turned on. Yeah, I just kind of accepted that as my reality. I know a lot of you also asked me, like, how did this affect your relationships? Because I have pretty much always been in long-term relationships. It definitely affected my relationships, for sure. I just want to say that I tend to look on the bright side of things. I tend to look at where the learning opportunity is instead of focusing on the negative and the lack and the downsides. So for me, when I look back and reflect on how me identifying as gray-asexual affected my relationships, I honestly think of it as the biggest learning opportunity and lesson for me to really learn how to communicate my needs and to vocalize where I'm at. I know a lot of you commented, and actually I got heaps of messages on Instagram after that video came out from you sharing that you're in a similar boat and that your partner has a much higher sex drive than you, and you find it really hard to meet their needs and also get your needs met and not feel like you're just giving in and agreeing to something that you're not really feeling. It's so important for your health, your emotional health, and your physical health to vocalize where you're at and to communicate. If somebody is really leading you to feel guilty and putting a lot of pressure on you, that's something to look at. That is 100% without a doubt something to look at, because you need and deserve to be with a human who hears you and sees you and respects you. There's so much to say about that topic, but I just wanted to make sure I spoke to that because there were a lot of messages from you guys saying that you're in a similar situation, and yeah, just communication is literally key, so key. So I really identified with gray-asexual up until this past winter. This past January, I shifted my diet pretty massively. I was eating a vegan diet for 4.5 years, and I shifted from eating plant foods to pretty much all animal foods. So it was a massive change. And within a matter of days, I started to feel aroused. I started to feel like I had a sex drive. And not only that, like, I'm not talking like, oh my God, I'm so horny all of a sudden. I'm talking about like life force energy. Like, I felt like my body was coming back to life. I felt like I was nourishing myself and replenishing myself in ways that I honestly cannot even convey. Gaining a sex drive and rebalancing my hormones is very, very, very indicative on where my body was and the status of my health to where I took it to by shifting my diet. So I had gotten blood work done right after I left Hawaii. I still was vegan for a few months after that, but it was kind of like the end, towards the end of my time being vegan. And I was struggling. I was deficient in a lot of things, and my hormones were very, very out of balance and not in a good place. It was bad. I have actually received a significant amount of criticism saying like, you did the diet wrong, you didn't eat enough. I'm just here to share my story. Yes, there were times of me being vegan, especially towards the end, where I was not eating enough food. I will be the first to say that. There were reasons that I was not eating enough that are not to do with me actively not wanting to eat because I wanted a certain appearance. Put the whole eating disorder theory aside, my friends, because I was dealing with mold exposure in my house. I literally did not have an appetite. I could not breathe through my nose for probably over 1 year unless my heart rate was up. And I don't want to take this story too far out of the place, but I do want to just make note of that. Yes, I was not eating enough towards the end of my vegan diet, and it for sure played a role. I'm trying to make this as clear as possible. Blood work was very, very bad, deficient, hormones super out of balance towards the very end of my veganism. About 6 to 8 months later, things had improved, but not significantly. And then I just got blood work again about 6 months into eating a mostly carnivore, which mostly animal foods like meat, fish, eggs, and everything, whoop, bumped up. Vitamin D, abundant as heck. Vitamin B, abundant as heck. Pretty much all my vitamins and minerals had improved, and my hormones as well. For me, I felt intuitively called to switch up my diet based on the state of my health when I was really struggling. I just listened to my body with how much of what types of foods I felt that I needed to consume. I literally ate salmon almost every single day for like 6 months straight. And then I reached a point where I was like, cool, I think I'm good with that. I'm gonna just have it a couple times a week now. I'm not here to say what I'm doing is what's right for everybody. This is literally just my story. My battery died, so I charged it up a tiny bit and hopefully I can finish within the next few minutes for you. So I reached out to my doctor and just wanted to kind of gain a little bit of insight from him as far as like, why for me did I go from not having a sex drive to having a sex drive, and what can somebody do if they were in my shoes before my diet change? What can somebody look into? What is there to learn about in regards to all of this? If you are not experiencing a sex drive and you just want to learn a little bit more about what's going on in your body, what can you do? By the way, my doctor is Dr. Saladino. When I think of Dr. Saladino, I think of passion. Like, one of the most passionate people that I know in my life. So passionate, so educated. He has helped so many people who are kind of at like the end of their rope. I remember talking to him a few months back, like, who are the people that you work with? Like, what type of people do you attract to you, and who do you like to work with? And he works with a lot of individuals who have kind of tried everything, and they're still experiencing some level of symptoms, whether they've been helped to a certain point or like nothing is working for them. He has helped a lot of people heal. The overarching thing that he shared with me for someone who is wanting to learn more about where their body stands, especially with hormones, is to just get blood work done. To get a full hormone panel, including thyroid, reverse T3, like the whole shabam. Just get absolutely everything tested just to see where you stand. He said another thing to look into is insulin resistance for anyone who is eating a higher carbohydrate diet, and micronutrient deficiency. And if you are coming from a history of plant-based eating, as I was, I would think, okay, so I'll just have more green juice, or I will just have more healthy fats like avocados and chia seeds, hemp seeds, flax seeds, all the things. But the thing is that I have learned from my personal experience, and also that my doctor has shared with me, is that the bioavailability is different in plant foods than it is in animal foods. I know I shared a little bit about this in my original video of why I'm not vegan anymore. When you are eating plant-based forms of EPA and DHA, you're only absorbing like 1 to 2 to 3%. And with animal foods, it's entirely skyrocketed from there. I thought that I could do this on a plant-based diet. I thought that I could be super healthy and thriving for a long period of time, but I learned that no matter how many healthy fats I was eating, no matter how many greens I was pounding in and trying to be on top of my green juice, there were vitamins and minerals and nutrients that my body was just not absorbing at a high enough rate and percentage for me to get what I needed and to be healthy and functioning properly. So that is something to look at, is your micronutrient levels. Another thing that my doctor shared with me to consider is caloric deficiency. If you are not eating enough food, as I was not eating about 1.5 years ago at this point, chances of your hormones being perfectly balanced and in check and you being in a good place with all of that is very slim, especially for a longer extent of time that you're not getting enough calories in. And last but definitely not least, something to consider and look into and be mindful and aware of is your stress levels and your quality of sleep. As Americans, we are pretty collectively underslept, which is not really benefiting our bodies. In fact, it's really harmful for our bodies, and of course stress as well. Anything that you can do to improve your sleep and decrease your stress is going to help bring your hormones back into balance. I share this story because having my hormones come back into balance and feeling this sense of vitality, like regaining my health after really being sick for an extended period of time, I can't not talk about it. It's a topic that's very close to my heart because our health is everything. So I just want to wrap up this video by saying thank you for listening to my story and reminding you that the power is in your hands, and anything that you're not understanding about the way that you're feeling, you have the opportunity to look into this and to gain insight as to what's going on within your body and what you can do about it. I know there are heaps of contradicting studies and information out there regarding like, this is the best, this is the best, this is the best, and I know it can be confusing, and I just want to be someone to remind you to keep pushing on, to share with you that the answers are out there, and yes, our bodies might be changing over the years and evolving, and something may work for us really well now, and then 1 year or 2 years from now something else might work well. I just want to share with you that you're not alone in the confusion, in the struggle, and just wanting to know, like, what should I do? And to share myself on the other side of that struggle right now, feeling so healthy, being able to connect romantically with somebody and actually have the desire to do so is so, so special for me right now. Again, I'm not saying that anything other than this is incorrect, because I feel whatever is your truth is so beautiful right now. I hope that this video has been helpful. If you feel less alone, please give this video a thumbs up. Check the video description for a little more of the details and tips that I shared here, and a little bit more than that too. I love you so, so much. Keep pushing onward and keep reaching for vitality.